Happy Halloween and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Up first today, Duane Toews will visit with Dr. Derrell Peel from Oklahoma State University to discuss the economics of cattle. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Duane Toews and Doug Shoup with K-State Research and Extension are talking winter wheat. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
It's more than that.
No, just 1%.
1% is all?
A measly little 1%.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Find out more at kansasgrainsorghum.org.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Now let's join Duane Toews as he visits with Dr. Derrell Peel from Oklahoma State University to discuss the economics of cattle.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Dr. Derrell Peel from Oklahoma State University. And Derrell, we think about the cattle industry. Certainly it always has its ups and downs, so to speak, but from an economist perspective, it's always interesting to evaluate where we are and then try and project where we go.
Well, absolutely it is. And you know, we talk in general terms about supply and demand, and obviously that's the big picture here. 2017, in my view, has been a little bit of a pleasant surprise, a little better than expected. We've got supplies growing in 2017 in terms of total beef production. That's going to continue as we go forward, but we've also had very good demand. We've had a net improvement in trade picture that's supportive of the market. And so, you know, all in all, we're in relatively good shape, and the industry is operating kind of a little bit as a business as usual at this point. There's really no major imbalances that I'm aware of in the industry right now.
We think about where we have came from, be it drought or another number of issues that nation's cattle herd dropped significantly. We've rebounded since then, but not only that, but we've got a younger cow herd than in the past, and we may see some of that in performance in the feedlot as well.
We do see it, I think, at the cow-calf level, stocker, and at the feedlot level. We do, you know, we culled down so hard because of the drought on top of previous liquidation that we had in the industry. And so you're absolutely right. We've got a younger herd. We've had a lower net culling rate as we've started rebuilding the herd. Part of that's the process of rebuilding, but part of it was because the cows were younger and we didn't need to cull maybe as much. We're getting back closer to, as we go forward, we'll be closer to a normal culling rate. But we're enjoying the increased productivity that comes from this young growing cow herd that we have.
We think about 2017's production, obviously considerably greater year over year, but in the feedlot sector, they've been very current in keeping those cattle moving through the chain.
That's right. If you look at slaughter numbers, you know, we're going to slaughter 5.5% roughly more cattle year over year in 2017, but with lower carcass weights because feedlots have done a very good job of turning over cattle more quickly, marketing them timely, and keeping those carcass weights down year over year. So we're going to see total beef production up about 4%. Again, offset some of that increased slaughter with lighter carcass weights.
As we look to 2018 and years beyond that, obviously no one has that crystal ball, but it appears that things may be fairly static for a while.
You know, we've got a growing supply situation. I don't think it's an out-of-control growing supply situation as we go forward. We're looking for about another 4% increase in beef production in 2018 year over year. So those supply challenges will continue. We've got a bigger cow herd, I believe, in 2017. We have to wait for the final numbers to confirm that. But and that means we'll get an even bigger or another year-over-year increase in calf crop in 2018. That means feeder supplies and feedlot production and ultimately cattle slaughter and beef production will be higher into, if not through 2019 at least.
One of the big parts that will play a factor in that profitability would be exports. So we obviously produce more than we consume here in the U.S. A lot of talk about trade agreements. It doesn't appear there's a tremendous amount of upside in most of those.
There really isn't from a beef industry standpoint. If you look at NAFTA, we achieved essentially free trade in that agreement. We have very little in the way of barriers or tariffs or anything in there, that only minor ones in a couple cases. So not a lot potential to gain. There's certainly potential then to move lower in some sense as a part of the renegotiation process. And I think the beef industry right now is just watching this a little bit with bated breath to make sure that we just maintain what we've got.
Our thanks to Dr. Derrell Peel, Oklahoma State University, joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Supply. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. Lisa Zane, registered dietitian, joins us. And Lisa, you were involved in a partnership between the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Pork Association called Real Pig Farming. What is that all about?
This was such a great trip. We got to visit not just pork farms, but also visit with farmers who produce soybeans and corn crops as well. We traveled registered dietitians along with online influencers such as food and travel bloggers, and had the opportunity to bring a couple Kansas farmers along with us.
And for that purpose, that's really who you're trying to target in this case as far as getting involved in this?
Those who have an interest in communicating with the public about farming practices, of which dietitians of special concern, because we translate that agricultural information into the nutrition of food as well.
Being able to go up to a farm, I'm sure, is a neat experience for those who are involved in this too.
Oh my gosh, it was so eye-opening. Even as somebody, whose grandparents had a farm, this was a completely more comprehensive perspective, and I learned a lot.
As you go through this and getting that message, what were some of the things that the dietitians and the bloggers really looked at, or I guess asked questions of, to those farmers?
As dietitians, especially those that work in a retail setting, we get a lot of questions about how the animals are treated, how the crops are treated as far as GMOs and antibiotics, and being able to have farmers answer those questions about the why and the how is of real interest educationally from those two groups of people.
You hear the term farm to table. Well, you see what's on the table, but I'm sure it was great to see what was on the farm.
Absolutely. We see things as dietitians from a nutrition perspective, so we need to reverse that a little bit and see where it originated.
And if people want more information or like to see some of the highlights, they can go to Twitter to use the hashtag #RealPigFarming.
That's right. We've used it on social media a lot.
And Instagram as well?
Yes. You can get in touch with Kansas Soybean Connection that way, too.
Lisa, I appreciate your time on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is Lisa Zane, who is a registered dietitian. She was part of the partnership between the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Pork Association called Real Pig Farming. This has been the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more Farm Factor as Duane Toews and Doug Shoup talk about utilizing winter wheat into your rotation.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil, and the decision continues improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Duane Toews and Doug Shoup discuss winter wheat.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Doug Shoup with K-State Research and Extension out of the Southeast area office. And Doug, you had an opportunity to talk to some producers recently about utilization of winter wheat. It seems like our neighbors to the south certainly graze more of it than we do in the state of Kansas in particular, and it leaves some wondering why we don't utilize that crop maybe to a bigger extent.
Yeah, I think there's a number of factors. One is that we do grow pretty good wheat here, and I think producers do try to maximize their grain yields. But the other thing that kind of hurts us some is that we're a little bit further north, so the falls cool down quicker and the springs warm up later, and so our growing season's a little more compressed than theirs are. But really, you kind of run the numbers, and wheat's kind of tough to pencil out grain-wise, and there is some opportunity there looking at a 120-day grazing season to make some money, putting stockers out there, grazing that wheat, and utilizing it from that standpoint.
We think about doing that. Obviously, there's some considerations to keep in mind, both on a fertility side and then management of it as well.
That's right. If you're assuming you are going to take it to grain, there's a few things that you have to adjust when you go to using it for grazing and grain. One is at a higher seeding rate. You're going to need that. We see that the maximum yields on the forage side of things really top out at about 120 pounds of seed to the acre. Going to go the old poundage per acre recommendation there. So you're going to have to bump your seeding rates up a little bit. The other thing is that those animals are grazing. They're going to remove some nitrogen, but they're also going to kind of redistribute some nitrogen out there as well as they recycle it. So to not lose any on the grain side, you are going to have to bump your nitrogen rates up some as well. That really depends on what your stocking rate is, or at least what your beef per acre gain you plan to get off at the end. It's anywhere from 30 pounds up to 50, maybe 60 pounds, depending on how heavy you want to stock those and how big the animals are going into it.
I know that there's some technology things that we have today that make some of those decisions easier as well.
Yeah, so the Oklahoma State crew, they've been doing a lot of grazing research for years. Of course they should. Half the acres down there are probably grazed for wheat. So we lean on them for a lot of our information. They've developed some really handy tools that help in producers managing their wheat for grazing. One that's really neat, that's free. It's an app called Canapeo. You can download that for free on your Android or your iPhone device. What it does essentially is measure the amount of green mass that you still have out there in the field, and you want to try and maintain 50 to 60% green leaf cover on your ground if you want to try to maintain a good healthy wheat plant and try not to reduce any of your grain yields when it comes to taking those animals off. So you really need to keep about 50 to 60%. That Canapeo app, it takes a picture, it measures the amount of greenness in that picture, and kind of gives you a rough idea of what your canopy is.
Our thanks to Doug Shoup with K-State Research and Extension out of the Southeast area, joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
The House has passed its budget bill and the Senate has passed its version out of committee. The two chambers must come together to iron out differences to provide tax relief to farmers and ranchers once the Senate bill moves forward. American Farm Bureau Federation Congressional Relations Director R.J. Carney says a budget must be finished to allow tax reform to take place.
The House and Senate need to pass a budget resolution that would allow the tax writing committees to develop a tax reform package that could pass through reconciliation. So the reason a budget resolution is so important this year is in order for there to be tax reform, the House and Senate must pass a budget resolution.
Carney says there are differences in the House and Senate versions of the bill that must be addressed.
The House budget includes reconciliation instructions for the Agriculture Committee to cut $10 billion over a 10-year period from nutrition programs. On tax reform, the House wants a deficit-neutral tax reform. The Senate proposal right now has no reconciliation instructions for the Agriculture Committee. In regards to tax reform, the Senate allows for a bill that adds up to $1.5 trillion to the deficit.
The Senate will consider its budget proposal next week when lawmakers return from recess. Once passed and both the House and Senate can agree on merging the two versions, the budget will become final without the need of approval by the president.
Budget resolutions do not go to the president. However, any reconciliation bill, in this case, tax reform, would need to pass both chambers and go to the president for his signature. So any actual legislation from the budget resolution does need to get the president's signature.
Michael Clements, Washington.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Are your cows practical or profitable? If you want them to be both, then come to the Dale Banks Angus Bull Sale Saturday, November 18th near Eureka, Kansas. Selling 130 hard-working, balanced straight bulls developed in the rugged Flint Hills. For 113 years, the Perriers have been providing practical, profitable genetics to cattlemen nationwide. Join us November 18th or bid online at liveauctions.tv. Call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
I'm a patient of Kansas Regenerative Medicine in Manhattan. I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee. My wife and I both are patients. We went down there the same day in November. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better. I can work now most of the day if I want to. And before, if I worked in the morning, I was done in the afternoon, or if I worked in the afternoon, I was sure enough done for the rest of the day.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Duane Toews.
It is me. I'm here once
You
again.
are.
Glad I showed up for work today.
I am.
Every evening, Kyle Bauer, if you were to take your measure your height, if you measured in the morning and the evening, you're 3% shorter at night than you are when you wake up in the morning.
3%.
Fact or fiction?
Oh, I would bet it's every bit of that. I'll go with true.
That's false.
It's more than that.
No, just 1%.
1% is all?
A measly little 1%.
Oh, my gosh. I figured it was like 10%. Well, 10%. That'd be a lot, wouldn't it?
Let's think about
so
that.
So, yeah, I'm
6
72 inches. That would be 10% would be
7.2 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's cut that part out. Cut that part out.
10%. I think I'm shrinking already, which is unnerving because I'm not very old.
Yeah, it does vary
things.
among people. I'm really lucky. I'm 60 years old, and I don't think I have dropped one iota.
I think I've already dropped. I venture to say I've dropped an inch already, and I'm going.
Well,
off
have
the
you
inseam.
measured?
No, but I'm going off the inseam of my jeans.
Well, oh no, you
can't go
go
that
with
way.
that. You just. You know,
my legs
son,
are shrinking, but the rest of me is getting longer then? I mean, really?
It could be the jeans are a different size than they used to be.
Why would they do
that? Well, then I'm growing.
They're the same brand.
I'm growing.
Taller?
Because I'm now wearing longer jeans than I've ever worn.
Well, before you just wore them too short.
Exactly. So
maybe before I wore them too long.
You know what? We're going to get out this thing that I carry in the truck. It's a very complicated deal called a measuring tape.
Oh.
And we're going to put you up against that wall.
And we're going to put a little line on the wall.
And then we're going to measure it. And then we're going to look at your driver's license.
Oh, I lied on that from the start, I suppose.
Well, when did you most people...
It wasn't like I went into the doctor's office and got an official measurement. I just assumed I'm 6 foot tall.
You don't you remember in school? Didn't they tell you in school?
No, not really.
So... Well,
we lied on my weight in high school. I mean, I'm skinny as a stick, and I'm playing football. You think they wrote down my real weight?
Yeah,
103 pounds. No, we didn't put that on the football program.
So you don't think you were really 6 foot? You don't think you were really 6 foot?
No, I think I was, but I'm not sure I am anymore.
Okay, well, I tell you, when you get my age, you go to the doctor about every year, and they still weigh you, and they still put your height down. Well, I wear boots. Yeah. And they think I'm taking that off for my height. I'm taking them off because those boots weigh 2 pounds, so I'm cutting those babies off.
I'm thinking of getting some platform shoes because they measure that obesity thing by how tall you are.
That's right.
So I'm
not
obese,
heavy. I'm just too short.
As long as I can make them believe I'm 7 foot tall.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.